Jay here. I'm here to bring you a review on Samurai Jack Season 5, Episode 3. The episode begins showing like blood, and then it shows Jack flowing down like a river. Then he falls like down a waterfall, and then like I guess he feels once he falls down like the waterfall, and then he feels like onto like his stab wound, and then he gets onto a log. Then he just hangs onto the log like through days because time was just going by. Like you see it be night and day. Just he was just holding on to the log. When he was hanging onto the log, a frog hopped onto the log, and then the frog was like, "They're coming!" So Jack started pedaling faster. Then he passed out. Then he woke up like it was nighttime, and he was all scratched up and shit. Then he started like feeling hurt because of the wound, and he seen the sword inside him and shit. And then he started just walking into the woods. And as he's walking in the woods, he's dripping blood, touching on trees, leaving blood prints, looking back and seeing this mysterious fucking samurai on a horse or whatever, and just pushing forward into the woods. Then he sees the cave, so he walks into the cave, then he sits down and he looks down at the sword that's still in him, and he starts pulling out the sword, and it looks so fucking brutal. Like you see Jack in pain, just sitting there, just pulling the fucking sword out. So much blood. Then he pulls out the sword and just throws it on the ground. Then he passes out. So then he's sitting there groaning and like moaning and shit out of like pain from the stab wound and shit. And then he starts hallucinating, seeing like himself like he did before in the other episode. Like him in his like white samurai suit or whatever, and the other him starts saying like, "Oh yeah, you killed a human girl. You never done that before. Like you've like killed mountains of like robot corpses, but never a girl. And what's gonna happen when they find you? Are you gonna kill them?" And then like Jack is just struggling, saying like, "No, no." After that, Jack starts hearing footsteps, and he looks dope, like just drenched in blood. Like even though he's in pain, he looks dope. And when the thing that he hears footsteps shows up, it ends up being a wolf or whatever, a fox or whatever it is, and it's bloody too, and it's just staring at Jack, and Jack just passes out, and then he starts dreaming or whatever, and it starts showing Jack's past and him little and him watching his father just fucking basically take out a bunch of men with fucking his sword. Then Jack wakes up and looks around, like he wakes up in a pile of leaves, looks around, looks at his wound, gets like a fucking whatever is around, like a string and a needle, and starts sewing himself up. Out of nowhere, that wolf shows up and brings Jack food, and they start eating like over a fucking fire. So then Jack was freezing, and then he looked over at the wolf, and it was just warm and shit. So he was just he fell asleep just cold and shit. Then he woke up and he was just snuggled up to that wolf. After that, it was morning and Jack was just sitting there, and the wolf just walked up, looked at Jack's wound, seen that it was healing up, and ran off. Next, it went back to Jack's past, and his father's cleaning the blood off his face that he's seen, like his dad slaughtered all them dudes and shit. And then he starts giving him a lesson like your reflections, lean on what you do, whatever, blah blah blah. Then it goes Jack, and he's ready. Like he stood up, and I guess he learned from remembering the past, and he's ready to take like them girls on, or whoever's coming after him, them girls. It goes to them girls in them masks, and they're dragging their sister and the other one that got killed by Jack in the last episode, and they just said death is a failure, and then they just left the body and they jumped like into the waterfall that Jack like fell into like at the beginning, and they're just searching, and then like one of them finds Jack's blood, and then they're just like going down the river, and then one of them says like go down the river, search down the river, like we're following the river. And then they go down the river, and you see them just traveling and shit. Then they start sitting down, and one of them says they'll take watch, and she goes in the tree and just sits there and takes watch. Then like I guess it's like morning time. Like I guess she kept overwatch over the morning so they could rest or whatever. So anyways, it goes to the morning and they're like still traveling through the river. Then they see Jack's blood again, and then she's like, "Yeah, it's the river. Just follow the river. That's the samurai's blood." And you see them just going through the river again, going to search through them, traveling through the river. Then the girls hear something, like the girls in the mask. Then they go in the woods slowly. Then they see a deer and they're like wondering what it is because they never been outside wherever they're from. And they're like figuring out what it is. Then they hear something else and it's a bigger deer, like a buck or whatever. And then the buck walks up and starts like nuzzling or fucking, giving the deer a smooch or whatever. And they're looking at it like, what is it doing? What are they doing? And one of them's like, I don't like it. And then she like steps, and then like fucking the deer, they hear it or whatever, and they ran off. And then they noticed fucking Jack's print when he walked and left that print on the tree. They noticed Jack's print on the fucking tree, and a trail of Samurai Jack's blood too. Then the girls start following the trail of blood, and then they stop and hear Jack, and Jack starts going on like, yeah, here, you have a choice. Leave here and live, or stay and face your destiny. And one of them screams, our destiny is your death. Then out of nowhere, Jack pops out of the snow and stabs one of them with a fucking like stick or something. One of the girls like hit a crow, and Jack like hid behind the crow. I don't know how, but then threw a spear, missed the girl that tried to hit the Jack, but hit the crow. And Jack hit the girl in back of the other girl and killed her. Now there's 4 left, and they all start chasing Jack, and Jack's running. Then he starts like stopping, and it turns out it was a mist that they're in. So that's why he was hiding behind things and just killing them, popping out of nowhere and just killing them. So anyways, he stops, and then they get to him and they start fighting him and shit, and he starts whooping their ass, just dodging their weapons and shit, just fucking kicking them one in the face, fucking throwing a fucking knife at one and killing one. Now 3 left. They start fighting Jack like using like combining, like they just start symmetrically going together, and then like going at Jack like at the same time and shit. It was weird and all shit. But then they start chasing Jack, and Jack gets to like a ledge, like a branch ledge, and like he just throws his weapon because he took one of their weapons. It was like a bat, and he was using that to protect himself. And he just throws his weapon, and he tells them, "Come on!" And one of them goes, and Jack just fucks her up. He starts like fucking, he pushes her off the fucking branch. And then another one charges at him, and he just punches her like in the fucking face, and her neck just twists around and she falls off. Then the last girl charges at him and throws some chain thing. Then they start swinging around, and Jack like fucking kicks her, and she gets like looped with the chain, and then she starts screaming that Jack will never escape Aku. And then he starts taking the chain off his hand and just lets go of the chain, and she just falls down like into the fucking snow or whatever. Then I guess the branch broke and Jack just falls like where that girl fell. Then it was the end of the episode. That was fucking major cliffhanger right there. Fuck. I mean, fuck. I want to see more. Fuck. It's been fucking good. It's been with gore. Like, fuck. This episode was dope. I really liked this episode. It was fucking suspenseful. Like, fucking Jack looked fucking dope as fuck. Bloody. Just fuck. I can't wait till episode 4. So, I'm Jay, and this is my review on Samurai Jack, episode 3, season 5. Catch you later. Thank you for watching.